Green Lantern War Journal, issue 3, Phillip Kennedy Johnson writing with Montos on the art. So, last issue, we had John be confronted on the train by that lantern who's now been taken over by the Revenant Dead.
Right.
And, he's not doing too great. In fact, apparently using his powers makes him more susceptible to being infected by the Radiant Dead. It's kind of the way it works.
I love that Phillip Kennedy Johnson set up the rules really quick and concise for this here.
Yeah.
Because up to this point, we didn't really know what the Radiant Dead were. And now it seems like there's zombie-like constructs.
It never occurred to me that all the people who had been infected before were all lanterns of some kind.
Yeah.
I thought that was just happenstance, but it seems to be now that, they seem to be zombie constructs, I guess was the way to put it. So John's not doing too well, but luckily all these like constructs of birds come in, and it's the lantern from the other universe that's here to find John to help him. And when he gets infected on the arm, John goes into like a sort of inside his mind, and he's seeing like a war zone, and there's all these like zombie constructs like coming down onto this battlefield, and it's basically all of his inner fears coming. And he wakes up and he's at Steelworks. With like medical equipment attached to him and whatnot, and he goes up to the roof and he talks to this lantern, who explains it's from another world, that he knows a different John Stewart, and this other lantern's like, I heard you'd quit the corps, or quit the Corps, I should say. Is that true? And he's like surprised. He's like, my John Stewart would never quit the Green Lantern Corps. Like, he's instantly sort of disappointed and kind of speaks to John like he's a lesser version of John Stewart.
It's that moment of like you can't be the chosen one, it's along those lines.
So this really sets this up, but it also sets up John's determination of like, look, if this thing's serious and it's going to like kill everyone, if it's going to come after my mother, like I have to do something about it. And this lantern takes him into sort of the space in between time or whatever he does with his ring. And the voice that's coming from his ring, John thinks sounds familiar. And it is familiar because inside this like the space, the voice can materialize into a construct, I guess. And it's this other universe's version of Kyle Rayner, who is wearing a blindfold instead of his crab mask, which I think is a bold choice, but okay.
I mean, I think it makes that look better in my book.
The crab mask is better than a blindfold. Come on, don't be a tit.
Also, I was getting, he kind of had like this hood vibe to him too, so he's giving me Spectre vibes.
Oh yeah, a little bit of Spectre. I can see that. Yeah,
which it's definitely cool. Look, I would not guess this was Kyle unless they had told us. So I guess that's good because it keeps that suspense going. But yeah, the fact that he tells him, kind of we need you to do this. There's a reason that Lantern Shepherd was sent here. You can't succumb to this or else bad things will happen. And, it says, John worries about his mom. He's like, yeah, but if there's no world for your mom, then there's kind of no point to all this. Yeah,
and the Lantern's like, this world's already doomed because he's already infected, so there's no point in even bothering to try to save this one. Yeah. So a big part of this, obviously, is John going to be like pushing through and convincing him, no, we have to do this, we have to save everyone. So John goes and sits by his mum's bedside because she's unconscious. She's been injured in the whole train thing. Yeah. And basically apologizes that he's leaving, and so it's a very sad. It's very well drawn. It's very well paced. Him walking up and sitting by her bedside, and the beeps from the heart rate monitor kind of sprinkled in throughout. It's all very good. I especially like the moment where he says, "Not only will I be gone, like
the sister
won't be here either, because that's been a construct he's been making." Yeah. So that's really sad and depressing. So it really sets up his motivation. Our final sequence, though, is in the Amazon rainforest. We see a sort of group of military that are going into the forest looking for whatever, and out comes a bird construct from the Revenant Queen, and we see what looks like a bunch of like constructs of various, I don't know, are these like tribes people, and then there's like cheetahs.
So they look like they're indigenous. So if they're in Brazil, those are probably jaguars, not cheetahs.
Sure.
But yeah, but they look like the indigenous people that are
can
fighting
jaguars
against
be spotty? I thought jaguars were.
Oh no, no, jaguars have spots, but they have like the rounded spots. They're not just the, they're almost like circles more than they're spots.
I must be thinking of pumas that are. Plain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, jaguars can be melanistic, which means that's how you get black. That's also how you get black panthers, right?
Okay.
Those are leopards that they have too much melanin, so they end up going dark instead of having the spots. Same thing can happen with jaguars. This has been Matt's Wildlife Minute.
Luckily, you know a lot about wild cats, but go on.
Yes, but anyways, so the indigenous, so it looks like the indigenous people are fighting back against the loggers, but Varen, who's the Radiant Dead guy that was a Green Lantern, it looks like he's taken their image and is attacking them with it, So, because if you look at one of the guys on the motorcycles, he has the tattoo wrapping from his shoulder down to his arm.
Yeah.
And one of the constructs has those too. So.
Yeah, I wonder. Like, maybe they can still turn regular people, but the regular people who get turned aren't as useful because they don't facilitate new constructs. They're just kind of fodder or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
Curious.
They just do that because we know that there's a new Radiant Queen because it infected that astronaut.
Yes.
In the first. So yeah, it's just it seems to consume.
It's Revenant Queen, Radiant Dead.
That's right. We do this all the time.
Yeah.
But
you're swapping them around.
Yeah, but so it seems like it consumes the constructs, and that's what it's going after. So the more they point out to John, the more he uses his power, the quicker the sickness is going to spread in him. So we'll see how that ends up. I'm sure.
Which means he's going to have to show restraint, but then there'll be moments where he's forced to use his power, and it's like, he's given up a part of his life every time he does that. It's interesting.
Yeah. Very.
Yeah, no, it's a solid issue. I think it's maybe my least favorite of the three, but not because there's anything wrong with it, just because the first two were so strong in their pacing. Yeah. This one, I felt the pacing was a little weaker, but it does leave us in a place where John's making the choice to go and start this fight. Like, now he's involved, now he cares about what's going on. So it feels like we've ended the opening act to the story here with this issue. So super exciting into the next one.
There's that, and then Montos's art, like the scene on the train. When Shepard comes with the birds,
specifically when Shepard picks up the train with the birds, because the infected lantern, Varen, thank you, I knew it was a V. He's blown up part of the track, and the Shepard picks up the train with these bird constructs and flies it over to the other side. It's a great little action moment, to be honest. It looks good. So.
Very much. And then the constructs at the end, and just that design for Kyle and the realm between realms, basically. That Shepard takes John to. All that stuff looks really, really cool. So yeah, Montrose is just killing it.
Yeah, he's been very good on this book since it started. What are you giving War Journal issue 3?
I'm gonna give this an 8.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's an 8 out of 10. Quite happily.